Alrighty, what's going on, folks? We are back here with another video, and this one we're reacting to the same moron that I reacted to last time. The Steam Deck's biggest problems. This is Quantum TV and how stupid he is. So, people are like, "Oh, don't feed the idiot, don't feed the troll." The reason I do some of these videos is misinformation. Or sorry, I'm not even gonna call it misinformation. Factually wrong information. Call that what you want. And have an opinion, at least have an informed one. This guy didn't have an informed one. Unrealistic expectations. So let's get into what it is that he has to say is the Steam Deck's biggest problems. Because I called them a bunch of different things last time. Short version is I think he's a chode that is uninformed. So let's roll into it.
Today I'll tell you the biggest problem with the Steam Deck. And simply put, the biggest problem with the Steam Deck are the fans of the Steam Deck. People who support this device are holding it back to a large degree through ratioing people's videos, through disrespectful comments anytime somebody finds an issue with it, hunting down videos and all that shit that don't have a positive message about the Steam Deck. None of these things.
So, homie, you don't need to necessarily have a positive view on the Steam Deck in order to have an opinion. It's when you're wrong and factually wrong about stuff that people take issue or you say stupid shit. Example, your last video said a bunch of stupid shit. You complained about things like optimization. Okay, cool. Go blame the developers and publishers for their shit not being optimized. Guess what? I didn't blame the PS3 when the games were shitty from a publisher like EA. Go play like Madden 07 and see the stutter on a PS3 compared to a 360. I'm not going to blame Sony. I'm going to blame EA. Point the finger where it goes. You chode. Something you don't do.
Things contribute to growth. All you're doing is white knighting for a product that has a lot of room for improvement.
And yes, it does have room for improvement. Better battery life. Better GPU, 8 cores instead of 4. Take your pick. There are room and areas for improvement. The 64 gigs, the shader caching, on the 64 gig model eats up a lot of room. There are things for improvement. Totally.
Because you probably like Linux and you like tinkering yourself, you are going to sit here and damage control. Because you can't afford to buy a real PC rig that costs thousands of dollars to run games powerfully, and you just want something cheap that can technically give you access to your games, and you can't be bothered to buy a budget fucking computer, laptop, right?
So just for reference, I'm doing this on a budget computer. It's an i7, 11th gen, 16 gigs. I could upgrade to 24, 32 if I wanted to. And a 3050 Ti. I've upgraded the SSD to a terabyte, blah, blah, blah. I also had at the time, I've had a Ryzen 2700X with a 3060 Ti. I've had, take your pick. I've had a 2070 RTX. I have a system coming shortly that is a Ryzen 5900 HG, HX, whatever the model number is, Ryzen 9 with a 6600 Radeon RX card. It's mobile, but guess what? 32 gigs of RAM, terabyte SSD. Shock, surprise. Like, dog, this guy makes my head hurt already.
A laptop for like $299 at Best Buy that'll give you a terabyte of storage, 500 gigabytes or whatever you want. Really,
And if you had any technical knowledge, you would know that those low-end laptops are usually Celeron processors. You would also understand that usually, at best, you're talking 256 gigs of SSD. The cheapest one I've been able to find is a 3rd-gen Ryzen 7 with 8 gigs of RAM and a 512 of NVMe from a Gateway, which you want to talk about premium quality and high-end stuff. Well, guess what? When you go to that bottom basement price, you're going to get bottom basement stuff. So that means at best Vega 8 to Vega 10, which is not stellar performance. Price to performance ratio on the deck at the $400 price point beats everything else thus far. As far as liking Linux, it's not about liking Linux, bruh. You want to talk about real gaming PCs? Windows has its fucking issues. You just like to glance over them. And I'm not saying this as a Linux specific user. I'm saying this as someone who I've recently dumped Windows because I got sick of the nonsense with Windows 11. Again, real PC users or high-end users are relative. But, you know, hey, you don't want to admit that, that's your prerogative. You know, $650 for you is a lot of money, quote unquote. Or, you know, $1,500 for a 4090 RTX or whatever the hell the cost is going to be on those. It's all relative, because your $1,500 might be someone else's equivalent to $1,000. That $500 gap is a huge investment for some people. I know for people like you, it's hard to figure out. You know, go play with your Quantum Dot TVs and all the other nonsense that you want to go play with. But being a elitist chode is another thing. Just because you have more money to burn doesn't make you a real gamer.
You have options, right? No, you can't be bothered to do that. You want this IPS 720p gaming, and you're grateful. And anybody who says that this is,
to which, FYI, so if you are going to claim that you have a Switch, you stupid fucking chode, and you're fine with that, then you're fine with 2015 mid-range technology at 720p. You're an idiot.
This is a negative thing in 2022. They need to be hunted down and they need to be attacked for it. We need to start life ruination campaigns according to these trolls, right? Let me tell you, this is what's wrong with the Steam Deck. Because if Steam doesn't know there's a problem, they're not going to fix it. I mean, the fact that we're letting them get away with IPS of the lowest quality with the weakest colors and 720p gaming in 2022, the age...
Do know it's not actually 720p. They're chode boy. It's actually 1280 by 800, but you know, technical specs. If you're going to attempt to sit here and read a tech spec list of all the things you can do, it's at least be accurate, and it's 800p gaming. Just saying.
Age of AMOLED on mobile devices, the age of 4K phones. I mean, it speaks volumes to how incapable people truly are. Your phones are better than this, and 9 times out of 10, bro. And the fact is, people want to gloss over that and pretend like that's not the case because...
Yes, your phones are better as far as tech specs, quote unquote. 4K and all the other stuff. On the same note, touch controls are garbage, trash, 100%. Anybody? Why do you think it's Fruit Ninja style controls? Why do you think things like the Razer Kishi exist? You're glossing over the limitations of things as well. Must be nice. Double standard. So, the way I view the Steam Deck is as a console that happens to do some PC type shit. It's no different than how I viewed, the PS3. You're viewing it from a PC end of things, and that's fine. But somebody who bought in at the $400 price point doesn't change their valid price point, price of entry, then you're $650 for you to look down at them. That's the problem people have with you and the way you're looking at it. If you want to be stupid on how you spend your money, that's on you, bruh. Spend the $650. You talk about you like to tinker and all this other stuff. Oh, I mod and all the. Then apparently you don't mod enough if you're that idiotic with your money. If you're willing to pay Apple markup on memory type deal, then that says more about you.
They like Steam, they like Linux. I really, at this point, I can't tell you what the major malfunction is with some of these people. Frankly, I don't care. But what I can say is, again, they refer to this thing like a commission job. You get out of it what you put into it. That's Steam's job. That's Valve's job. They chose to go with Linux because it was cheap. It was affordable. It was an open source.
And no, it had not. If you knew anything about what they've put into the ecosystem, you stupid fucking Chad, you would also understand they've invested more than they've probably put in. Actually, they're getting out of it, you idiot. They've invested in things like Mesa and Ryzen, they've invested in things like Mesa. They've looked at kernel improvements. They've looked at things that are specific to them to make the overall ecosystem better, their graphics stack as a whole, by putting developers and money at it. The reason they have this is to chart a course for their own destiny with hardware and software and have a more vertical integration of what they control. A la Apple, a la what Android, Google is trying to do with Android, and have a more direct say on how things are done with not being tied to the direction Microsoft is taking Windows. If you can't do bear market analysis and look at that, then you're a fucking idiot. You're a real fucking idiot who just happens to have a whole lot of money to go blow. Because right now, the only thing I'm saying is you're liking to blow yourself.
Software, open source OS, right? They didn't want to pay for the Windows licensing for every device. People lie and say that they're selling this off at a loss. How? Factor up the cost. 720p gaming, IPS screen, which is the lowest quality screen.
I'm going to let you finish before I dissect
there
this.
Practically is. I mean, open source OS, where are they losing any money?
R&D, it's a custom chip. See prior argument about investment into software, idiot. Proton and everything else that makes all this shit run. And I do love the fact, for a guy who spends as much money as you do on all the high-end stuff, you can't afford a capture card? Instead, you point your phone at it. You want to talk about low end, bruh. You ain't gonna get much more low end than that.
They didn't even give you a terabyte for the fucking $650 version. Let me put it in perspective for you. This is more expensive than the Xbox Series X and PS5.
Based on which pricing? Based on which pricing? The last 2.5 years would debate otherwise. Just saying. The last 2.5 years would debate otherwise. And the fact that Sony and Microsoft now are both talking about raising prices for the first time in any console generation ever. But you want to kind of gloss over that aspect too. Can't do that.
It has so much less power than that. And you're talking about Steam Deck is...
It's a portable PS4. It's a portable Xbox One. It's a portable last-gen console. That's how I view it. That's how 90% of people are viewing it.
Sold off at a loss? How the fuck can the $650 Steam Deck be considered being sold off at a loss when it is less powerful than every major console on the market today? And it costs more.
Return of investment, R&D. Novel concept, I know. Hard to sink in. Oh, well, they make money at 30% from every software sale, which they're putting back into the R&D on this particular device. Do you know the budget for R&D and custom chips from a major chip manufacturer like AMD? Nah, you don't. So unless you can get into Valve's books, you don't know what the R&D is. But you can look at what they've invested in with personnel and other aspects of Proton and working with code weavers and Proton and the graphics stack and stuff specific to this and other things about like docks and everything else to make the experience better for this product and the overall ecosystem in order to control their own destiny, so they're not tied to Microsoft and that they're not tied to Apple. That is what they're doing. You are just too dumb and stupid and have your head shoved up your ass to actually see that perspective, because you can't do analysis because you have tunnel vision because of when your head pokes out your penis.
Than every major console on the market today. That's the problem with the fans that support the Steam Deck. There is no logic. It's like talking to literally people with IQ levels so low, they don't even understand when they have been finessed and cash grabbed at.
Says the guy who probably paid for RTX on a 3080. Did you buy the 4090 cash grab much? Make sure you did you get the new highest end Ryzen stuff? Make sure you upgrade that GPU. Make sure you upgrade that PSU. Make sure you upgrade the new RAM. Make sure you upgrade the new board, and make sure you get that, $700 processor too. Cash grab. Look at what you're supporting yourself there, bro.
And now again, if you feel personally attacked, tough. I'm not a part of this coddle generation. I'm not going to sit here and coddle you. I'm not going to sit here and make you feel better that you bought a dumb product that doesn't really do a whole lot, and it was Valve's responsibility to make sure they selected the right OS to run all their games.
Look, if you're pissy that it doesn't run Windows, fine. Here's a brilliant idea. Fucking install Windows on it.
As literally already the middleman, let's be real. This whole device exists to try to cut into the PC market, Windows PC, because PCs aren't sold with Linux on it, okay? You'd be very hard-pressed to find many PCs sold with Linux on it, because it's not popular, because of its learning curve, because of the difficulty, okay? And that's the kind of handheld they gave you. They gave you handheld on hard mode, where everything is always a problem. Some people like this. I don't. I think it's very stupid, and I think to spend the kind of money they're asking for it is unrealistic, given that it literally doesn't innovate in any way possible. You've already had the ability to play Steam games on the go. It's called a laptop.
And form factor comes into the equation. You chode. You fucking chug-wielding idiot. Can I literally take a mouse and throw it at your fucking head? I'm going to use the Switch because my Steam Deck is currently hooked up. I can do this with a fucking Steam Deck. I have to do this with a laptop. You chode. Or, at best, I still have to find enough room for the laptop with a controller. And if I'm gaming, oh God forbid, and if I have a high-end GPU in it, I'm going to need the brick that goes with said laptop. And I'm not saying you don't need the brick for the Steam Deck, because the battery life is not great. I'm just going to say. At least I can tailor the battery life. If you're going to mention the problems with the Steam Deck, short battery life and all the other stuff, and you compare it to a laptop, laptops are situational at best. The Steam Deck, at least from a positional point of view and use case point of view, as far as where and how you can use it, opens up more area than a laptop. You just don't want to admit that.
Buy an 11-inch laptop. Done. Buy an
11-inch laptop. And which one is powerful enough to play that? Are you buying one of the old Alienware MX11s with that U processor?
13-inch laptop. Flexbook. Done. But see,
if you're buying a Flexbook, you're not getting the dedicated GPU that you're going to need to play all those games. You're harping on it doesn't play everything. Well, if you're not getting a dedicated GPU, an i7 processor, etc., you're not playing everything.
I guess I'm approaching it with too much intelligence, because the general consensus in the gaming community...
No, you're approaching it like a fucking idiot, because you're not looking at the limitations that are also there for other things as well. Oh, get an 11-inch laptop, get a Flexbook. Okay, spec limitations are there as well. So you're already eating into your own argument with it doesn't play everything.
Community. Everything games and video games are immediately positive, and if you disagree, you're a bad person. That's kind of how...
No, I don't give it. Like, if you feel this is not worth your $650, by all means, send it back. By all means, give a factual estimation of why it's not for you. The battery life, the OS doesn't work for you. It doesn't play COD. It doesn't play blah, 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 blah. That's fine. It's the fact that you're harping on it from this weird, like, it doesn't do blah, blah mentality. It doesn't play every game, but then you give the argument that, go buy a laptop. Well, reality check, if you don't buy the right hardware for the laptop, you're not going to have access to everything. So your argument falls apart. That's not a straw man. That's a direct comparison of what you're saying and applying that same logic to what you're talking about. The person giving the shit argument and the low IQ argument is you. You're just too dumb to see it.
How it is. We saw this same exact shit happen with my Elden Ring review. People wanted to try to trash it, talk shit about it, because I said that low frame rates and a graphic style like it has on the current hardware that looks like PS4 is dog shit. Again, people want to disagree with that, fine. But again, there's a certain level of innovation that isn't being put into video.
No, you're shitting on anybody who disagrees with your take. And at this point, it's just, I'm going to say trolling, poking the bear, or you're just an idiot. And I'm going to go with your poking the bear and an idiot in the same breath.
Video gaming because of the useless gamers we have today.
Like you? I'm not saying your opinion is useless. I'm saying you're useless.
Okay? And the reality is, that's the same reason Gotham Knight runs at 30 FPS, because developers know they don't have to try anymore. That's the same reason the NVIDIA 4090 is being sold for $1,600.
Which you're probably going to pay for because you're an elitist PC gaming piece of shit.
Because they know they don't have to try anymore, because all you idiots are just going to white knight for everything.
I don't white knight for anything. I'm not saying the Steam Deck's for everybody. I'm sure shit not white knighting for NVIDIA, or I'm sure shit not white knighting for AMD when they launch an overpriced CPU that requires upgrading everything. You're the idiot that's going to be a white knight because you're going to be the choding moron that's going to go and buy the shit because I buy high end on everything. Well, go buy high end on everything. But you're contributing to your own problem that you're bitching about. And no, 30 FPS for Gotham Knight on the Series X is not acceptable. If people want the ray tracing and all the stuff that is supposedly there, then cool, whatever, give the option. You don't apply your own fucking logic to the shit you say. So I'm going to assume you have your head shoved up your own ass for a reason, and it's because you like the smell of your own shit. Because anytime you open your mouth, well, you have a place for it to all pour out into, and then you can smell those roses that smell like shit.
In gaming, I think it's good. I think it's great. If there's even one devil's advocate out there, they're going to hold on to that. And there are so many devil's advocates as we see in the Xbox camp, PlayStation, all these fucking gaming camps. And that's the problem.
Pot, make kettle. May pot or kettle bash each other over the head with said implement. This coming from, there's problems in each of the camps. You're in your own camp, bruh. And you're approaching it from your own camp. Instead of playing in each one of the fucking camps. That doesn't make you a real gamer. That doesn't make you a real PC gamer. It just makes you a narrow-minded moron.
Here, by banding together and creating a mob and telling them they don't have anything to do, you're literally doing their marketing for them. You're telling them, like, yo, there is no wrong that you could possibly commit. You are perfect. And when that's the general common sense answer that you've arrived at for you, I mean, okay.
This is a guy who looks for vindication and justification of his purchases by looking down at people who a $400 purchase is just as much as a $650 purchase would be for you. Again, pot, meat, kettle.
Don't expect any kind of quality Steam Deck to come out anytime soon. Battery life is going to be just under 2 hours like it is, right?
And I've harped on that the battery life needs to be better.
It's going to require you to always be plugged into the wall.
Go play on a laptop. Guess what? Most laptops, when they play video games, only a couple hours, bro. That whole dedicated GPU thing in order to actually use them.
You're going to have constant tinkering issues. You're going to have to keep tinkering away.
Depends on your approach. If you're only going into the DEC verified stuff, not generically.
And you want to know why? You told them you like it. You told them this was fine. This isn't fine. This isn't great. This isn't wonderful. This isn't amazing. This is a cash grab. And
this is the guy pointing a cell phone at the Steam Deck as opposed to actually having a capture card. Or, oh, well, I didn't buy a deck dock. Dog, if you were a high-end PC gamer, you would have like 9,000 USB-C dongles kicking around at this point for docks. I bought a $200 phone that I tinker with that had a dock included with it that I used on the Steam Deck to output to a TV. And it worked. So you have no excuses. Instead, you're pointing a phone at a screen. You want to talk about high-end gaming? High-end gaming would also include high-end capture, which you can spend $35 on for a capture card at 4K, moron.
And I'm calling it like it is. I'm one of the only people to call it like it is. And I'm not just somebody who said these things for views and then immediately returned it after I got my views and smiled and laughed. I'm still working on this thing. I'm still trying to make it positive. I'm still actively seeing if it has any potential. And at every turn, I'm told I need to tinker. I'm told I'm the problem.
Because you are the problem. You just don't want to admit it. Like, if you don't view it as a console, if you don't understand that it's not Windows, they make it very clear it's not Windows. If you can't read basic marketing of that product, then that's on you. As far as, because you're going to probably bring up the optimization thing. Again, CPS3, early life cycle. Point the finger in the right direction. I don't give a shit. If you're just going to... Example, I don't blame Windows problems on a Dell. I blame Windows problems on Microsoft. See the conundrum here that you're not doing?
Not the company that made a device that wasn't user-friendly. I'm told that it's not for everyone, but I like it because I like tinkering. Like, I'm literally met with dumb boy mechanic logic, right? Typical grease monkey logic.
Says the guy who, I built my stuff. Or did you go to a big box store and buy it yourself? You know, and have it pre-built.
This is literally, guys, this is a handheld. Name a handheld in the world today that is mass-produced like the Steam Deck, that literally has this steep of a learning curve and that's this difficult to get into. Now,
log into Steam. Look at verified titles. Click download. Click play. Real hard.
not the 3DS, not the DS, not the Switch, not the PSP, not the PS Vita. You can't find, bro, not even fucking Game Gear back in the day, bro. Like, get out of here with this. Not Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy SP, Game Boy Advance, none of that shit. This is the hardest, most ridiculous, most unoptimized, most
unoptimized. See prior statement about where to point the finger at. Or maybe you just, enjoy fingering your own asshole.
compatibility struggling ass fucking garbage ass fucking thing I've ever seen in the handheld world. And it is receiving adulation. Again, do what you're going to do, but I put out why this device is garbage. And I'm going to tell you, yet again, in this video, the biggest problem with this device are the fans of it. The people who rather white knight than admit.
This is the guy who white knights for high end. Like, I don't give a shit, do you, bro? But on the same night, people, people who call you out on your hypocrisy and double standards and everything else, and your fallacies and your arguments, aren't white knighting it. I'm not white knighting the Steam Deck. I'm not white knighting the fact that it's not for everybody. I'm not going to white knight the fact that it doesn't have problems. I will point out the stupid in your arguments, though. And boy, howdy, do you have plenty of fucking stupid in between those ears of yours.
Issues where they are and try to get them addressed and fixed. When you do shit like this, you see a depreciation in quality all around. Now, to be fair to Steam Deck fans, this isn't an exclusive mindset to just your product, per se. I see this all the time in the TV world, where people damage control for Sony TVs, they damage control for the motion issues we see and say it's amazing because they like the name brand. It's fucking stupid boy shit, but we...
All the stupid boy shit I'm seeing right now is anything that comes out of your mouth. Because it's a stupid boy speaking shit. I guess it's so your mouth is your asshole.
See it all the time. So I'm used to this level of moronic behavior.
You're right, I am used to this level of moronic behavior from people who can't have an argument pointing out their fallacies in their argument. I guess, you know, you kind of fit in with today's generation.
Trust that I am. But don't act like you're not a problem holding your own device back for all the people who say that they want better.
No, people like you are the problem because you like holding your own dick because you like to hear your own voice.
If you want better, you're going to start doing what I'm doing and voicing off when there are actual issues and stop sweeping it under the rug so that multi-million-dollar corporate gurus and fucking rich dudes left and right can keep profiting off of the most minimal fucking effort.
Says the guy who will upgrade to the 4090 on his own minimal effort, probably, because I only buy high-end.
There's a reason PlayStation is charging $200 for a fucking controller. It's because you idiots white knight for everything, and until that stops, this is going to continue to happen.
Says the guy who will buy a 4090 because he's an idiot, because he only does high-end gaming, blah, 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 whatever. You know, pot, meat, kettle. Oh, you contribute to the problem, yet I'm going to buy all the high-end crap and contribute to the problem that I complain about. Shut the fuck up. You stupid fucking choting mark for companies, despite what you say. So, no, the problem is idiots like you. People who can't have an argument with their points being challenged by, you know, well, these weird things called like facts and stuff. Yeah. So for a guy who says and talks about, oh, being the mark of the generation that they can't take a complaint or something, bruh, the only one saying they can't take a complaint or that they have an issue is you. So I guess you do fit into this generation. You know, by your standard, I'm just saying. Because your argument is flawed and you're complaining about people having low IQs. Well, the only IQ lower than you is 6 feet deep in the dirt. Because you are fucking brain dead when it comes to having an actual argument and people pointing out the fallacies in your argument. So, bury your head in the sand, bury your head in your ass, maybe bury your ass in the ground with your head shoved up it, and, you know, you might find some intelligence. I doubt it, though. I would say use a metal detector, but I don't think that's actually going to help you much because that would require some, you know, intelligence and a few other things.